Good day and welcome to another edition of the Daily Fix. I am your usual host and presenter, Advocate Tulo Hoyane. Here's some breaking news for you. Something that should get you thinking from today onwards. What is the breaking news? Advocate Teffo, Teffo rather, has written a letter to General Fanie Masemola, the Commissioner of the South African Police Services. That letter, I'm in possession of that letter. But some of the contents of that letter use language which, sometimes might not be acceptable to use on a forum like this. But in essence, what Teffo is saying is this. Teffo is saying to Fanie Masemola, you as the head of the South African Police Services probably know, and if you are not aware, let me make you aware, that the 5 men standing trial in the Pretoria High Court have got nothing to do with the death of Senzo Meyiwa. You see, Teffo is very passionate about what really happened on that fateful day in the Khumalo house. Teffo has opened so many cases against so many people. Some of them, you can even lose count about the number of people that, he has opened cases against. There are cases against Baloyi, there are cases against Gininda, there are so many of them. But this latest disclosure is quite explosive. Because, you see, General Fanie Masemola, as the head of the South African Police Services, must be made aware of all these issues. Because, you see, people like Bongani Gininda, the self-styled lead investigator in the Senzo Meyiwa trial, are ultimately responsible to General Fanie Masemola. We have also had allegations by Gininda under cross-examination in court that, you see, the decision not to charge Kelly Khumalo was because of a prosecution-led investigation. In other words, because this was a prosecution-led investigation, the prosecutors who were leading it all probably decided not to charge Kelly Khumalo, notwithstanding the fact that there was evidence. You see, that argument made by Gininda, you see, sort of misses the point and contradicts itself. Because even if that was a prosecution-driven investigation, if it had yielded a possible suspect or culprit, it is just not good enough to say, well, because it was a prosecution-led investigation, we did not arrest Kelly Khumalo. That would be a total failure on the part of, those prosecutors, if they lead an investigation only to conclude not to charge culprits which are implicated by investigations. That is a travesty of justice. So by writing this letter, although it does not come out in not so many words in Teffo's letter to General Masemola, is General, look into these issues. The buck stops with you. Here is Gininda, who has brought docket 636, and the trial arising out of docket 636 is unfolding before the Pretoria High Court. But we have yet another docket that implicates totally different people. The other docket implicates Kelly Khumalo as the person who fired that gun that ultimately took, who fired those bullets, which ultimately took the life of Senzo. So Teffo is keeping this narrative of 375 alive. And I think he has made a career out of this. With all due respect to him and all the credit that he deserves. Teffo wants to keep the memory of Senzo Meyiwa and the circumstances surrounding his death alive until such time that we get to the bottom of what really happened to Senzo. And we do away with all these narratives and narratives and narratives. So he has written to Fanie Masemola. I wonder whether Fanie Masemola will favor him with a reply. Also given, the tone of that letter, which is not very friendly at all, because he uses words like Mickey Mouse, this Mickey Mouse tactics of yours, quite unpalatable stuff, but, that is vintage Teffo. That is how Teffo is, Teffo, when he feels something, he says it. He'll leave no stone unturned to get to the bottom of this. And sometimes his language can be blunt. But the only way sometimes you can get to make a point is by the use of blunt language. But how blunt that language gets, of course, will depend from one person to another. But the bottom line is that there you have it. Midday, I'm just getting this news now. Let us see what General Fanie Masemola makes of all this. Will he simply ignore it? Or perhaps, have a look at these two dockets? Because that is what Masemola must do. Masemola must, call Gininda. It's about time that Gininda was brought to order. Masemola must call Gininda and have a one-on-one with Gininda and say to Gininda, Gininda, what is happening with these two dockets? Why is it that there's all this, noise about those people in the Pretoria High Court not being the murderers of Senzo Meyiwa? What is going on here? Can you explain this? Then perhaps Gininda will have to respond to his boss and tell him, well, it was a prosecution-led investigation. Right? So perhaps I'm not implicated in whatever happened. You can ask the prosecutors. But as his boss, Masemola has to confront Gininda. The people are crying out here. The people are crying out here, General Masemola. Please have a look at that letter that was written to you. And hopefully come back to us. We'll see how this latest saga unfolds. But therefore, I've always told you, and I'll keep on telling you that it will always be, part of the narrative of 375. And he will leave no stone unturned. No stone unturned. No matter how many problems that the man runs through, no matter how many threats he gets from whatever angle, Teffo will always pursue what he believes is the truth. So there we are. Let us wait and see what the Commissioner of the South African Police Services will do about Teffo's letter, and hopefully we'll get some reply. If you don't, it'll just be one of those, tragic moments, because it's not the first time that, people in authority have been written letters and they've just ignored them. I've written letters to several people. The Minister of Justice, National Director of Public Prosecutions, you name them. Even the President. I've written letters to them, not a single reply, not even an acknowledgement. So let us wait and see what happens or becomes of Teffo's letter, and we can take matters from there. Having said that, let me thank you for all the views that I'm seeing and the subscriptions that I'm seeing. Please don't skip those adverts, and have a nice day.